Aiboan. How are you doing? Now, some of you must be thinking, we didn't come here to talk about our feelings. Get on with it. We are here at the TED. But let me remind you, when did you last ask that question from yourself? Very recently, one of my friends reminded me that question sometimes pisses us off because we don't have the time to even ask that question from ourselves. Very recently, I raised my voice to one of my work colleagues, and he completely shut down. We had to send him home just for him to recover for the day. Now, when I was growing up, let's see how it was. We were beaten up all the time. I mean, we were not yelled at, but we laughed about it. We even bragged about it. So is it that the new generation weaker and we were tougher? No, it's not. What has happened is the world has changed, and this current world is putting the younger generation onto the edge way before it did for me. So what happened to me? You must be thinking now, right? Let me take you long years ago to the scholarship exam in grade 5. I got into Royal College through the scholarship exam, one of about 200 kids who made it out of about 200,000 kids who sat for the exam. Now, obviously, the pressures were very, very high. And come the first term test, I studied hard. I came, I think, 6th or 9th. At that point, for whatever reason I can't explain at this point, I thought, so what? What did it give me? It didn't give me nothing. And at that point, I thought, I'm not going to stress too much about studying. And age 12, in grade 6 at Royal College, I decided not to give an F about expectations. And later on, I realized someone has written a whole book about it and made it subtle as well. I just smiled and said, been there. But here's the twist. This kid who thought I was too cool to be stressed was stressed back in the US I was about 34. And worse of it was that I couldn't understand why. I couldn't pinpoint any reason. I was doing great. I wasn't even married. So what was driving this stress for me? I just couldn't understand. And with that started a journey that ended up me creating with my team a globally recognized brand, as Ashok was saying. But let's understand what the science says or the stats says. Am I just talking nonsense here? Unfortunately not. Mental health, this is from the US, is on the top of healthcare problems in the world. What's worse is it's putting an entire new generation on the edge. If you see, it's the younger generation who's affected most. And in the local context, it's the same. Unfortunately, last year, I knew 2 people who committed suicide. In my whole life, up to that point, I didn't know anyone. So can we go on like this? Just this morning, I saw an Instagram post put up by TEDx saying the madness is upon us. I think we have been going mad for a while without recognizing it, without knowing why. So we just can't go on like that. Let's try to unravel what this mystery of stress is. To me, stress is just a symptom. You don't get stressed for no reason, right? So what is this reason? Typically, I mean, in my simple analysis, it's a situation that you can't deal with. If you can do what you have to do easily, you don't stress about it, right? You do it and live happily ever after. But the minute you struggle to do what you have to do, whether it's a simple thing like your old aunt is asking you when you're going to get married, to serious stuff like deaths in a family, a breakup, bad working environments, bad bosses. This is what stresses us. But one common factor of all this is that it's a situation. When the situation eases, your stress goes away. That's why we normally say give it some time. And with time, you become okay. Most of us become okay. But today, as we just saw, we are not okay. There is this constant pressure on us. That's universal. But you can't have breakups for everyone everywhere in the world. You can't have deaths in a family for everyone everywhere in the world. But today, everywhere in the world, everyone is stressed more than they used to be. So then it has to be some other different root cause that is driving this stress. Even I didn't have any of those stresses when I was stressed. So the question is, what is driving the universal common stress that we have? Now, to me, that's an evolutionary mismatch. Yes, Ashok said that as well. So what's evolution got to do with stress? Evolutionary theory suggests the fittest adapt fastest to its environment. And when you adapt your environment, you live happy. You are in balance. And in that adaptation, what you're normally talking about is your ability to find food and protection. Because if you have food and protection, you survive, and you have a better chance of moving your genes to the next generation. Right? And to find food, you went and killed animals, or you ran away from animals to protect yourself. So naturally, physical fitness was the common thing that was associated with when we say survival of the fittest. But today, after these sessions, you're not running behind animal to kill and find your dinner, right? I hope not. You're not running away from anyone to protect yourself, right? Then how are you going to get your food and protection? What do we do today to get your food and protection? We use our brains. We think through problems, we solve problems, we create. This is what we are using. And through that, we make money. Money buys us food and protection. But you go to any healthcare practitioner today and you say you generally want to get healthy. What would they say? Go to the gym, take 10,000 steps, eat healthy. All that is for the body. You are using the mind in all your work today, but you are taking care of this because that's what you are used to. That's what for millions and millions of years of evolution we did. But this switch has happened. This is the mismatch in evolution that we are talking about. So can we go on like this again? Do we even know what we need to do to take care of the mind? Because there's no gym for the mind. There's no 10,000 steps for the mind. There's no eating for the mind. So what can we do? But before that, when the mind was overworked and undertaken care of, this information revolution happened. The internet came about. And with that, the demands on our cognitive ability skyrocketed. As you can see, over the last 20 years, the amount of information grew about 1,800% on the internet. And all that is consumed by our cognitive abilities. But our cognitive abilities don't grow anything like that. It doesn't work like that. For us to evolve like that, it will take generations. So now we are in a situation like, we are like a Tata Nano, put on a racetrack and being asked to run with the Ferrari. What will happen? It will break. That's what's happening to us today. We just can't go on like that. So where do we go from here? This is the fitness we all know. It's all physical. But this is the fitness we need. We still need physical fitness, obviously, but there's a twist to that as well. I'll explain that. But even more than physical fitness, what we really need is mental fitness, mental strength, because that's what we are using. We need to expand our cognitive capacities. We need to strengthen our mind so that we can take more pressure. So we have to adapt to that. So adaptation, again, is a fitness. It's the fittest who will adapt fastest. So we need to strengthen each of these areas and give us ourselves a better chance to deal with the common demands of the modern world. So what is physical fitness? I mean, we all know what regular physical fitness, but today, how fast you can run or how much bench press you can do doesn't put food on the table, right? What puts food on the table is using this. But from a physical point of view, when you have to adapt very fast, you can't have anything else weighing you down. And those things that weighs you down are the common diseases. As you're fighting these other battles, you can't focus 100% on this adaptive process we have to get onto. Remember COVID? People who didn't make it, unfortunately, were having predisposed conditions. And they didn't have enough stamina within themselves all the time to get on board and adapt to the COVID virus. So that's what we need. We need a preventative care paradigm in healthcare today, because curative is already too late when you have to adapt on this evolutionary process. And fortunately for us, Ayurveda, from this region, has the best preventative care paradigm in healthcare as far as I know. Specifically, the panchakarma, or the detoxing process within Ayurveda, takes away the root causes of diseases that can happen later. How it happens is a completely different discussion. But please indulge in that. Then on the mental health, what's the toolkit we have today is primarily, again, from this region: meditation, yoga, breath work. But I'll give you a simple mental hack that you can use. All of you have been in love at some point, right? I hope so. Imagine the process you go through in falling in love. First of all, it's physical. You like the way she walks, how her eyes dance in your presence. Some of us think from other parts of our anatomy as well, but once you go past that, you start having proper feelings in the heart. But that is the same time you start seeing the red flags. What do you do at that point? You ignore the red flags and you keep reinforcing the positives in this person. It's a positive reinforcement process that conditions your mind to believe that she's the best. Everything else is secondary. And if you haven't loved like that, you haven't lived. By the way, now do the same thing in your life. The minute the negative thoughts comes up, whether it's hate, anger, jealousy, doubts, say this mantra. It's not om or anything like that. It's just simply say, it's okay. It's life. Right? Keep reinforcing that idea. It's okay. It's life. Make that the predominant thought in you. So even if you fail in that game of love, it's okay. It's secondary to this idea of it's okay. Practice it. It will give you so much space in your mind, because all the negatives that we normally carry, is not there anymore because they're secondary. Now, the third element is spiritual, but this is very tricky, but I'll just leave you with a thought. Now, if I'm the only person here, and none of you are here, who am I? There's no one to say Vickum is talking nonsense on a TED Talk. There's no one saying that, this is brilliant. I can't love anyone, I can't hate anyone, I can't get angry with anyone. So, simply, these emotions that we have is relative. In the absence of you, I do not exist. The idea of me do not exist. The idea of a self does not exist. Me as a being will be there, but the idea of that I'm Vickum or I'm good or bad or ugly None of that can't exist without another person in front of you. So spirituality to me, or spiritual conditioning to me, is extension of that mental fitness, those practices you take forward and come to that point. It's a very hard process. I don't think I'm ever going to get there. I don't think I have the capacity to do that. There are a few people, I think, who has achieved this in the world, like Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad. Oh, Donald as well. He thinks like there's no one else in the world. Now, if I am to summarize everything I just said, I put it into a 4-step framework. The problem, or the sorrow, or the sadness is that we are stressed. What is the cause of that stress? It's an evolutionary mismatch where the demands that's been put on us is more than what we are capable of. So which means we have to adapt. So the solution is adapting to the modern demands that's been put on the world. And how do you do that? What is the path you take? It's physical health, mental strength, and spiritual awareness. Thank you. And if you forget everything I said, just remember this line. It's okay. It's life. Thank you.